goes there. I really think would be a really long answer, and I won't do that. But I really think it's slowly built up time where over time we have been told, as people my age, us, all of us here, we're the most important people. You're the best. And from early on, from when I was a kid, I got a trophy at everything I did. I was built up. I got to play select sports, and I had to be on the best team. And if I was, then I was somebody. And so from that point, I think we've just built up these issues because they're not. You go back and you read any of the dead guys talking about church philosophy, all that kind of stuff. It's the same stuff. It's just right now we live in this world where we don't really care about the past, and we want to focus on what's going on right now for us. So
being driven by self.
Oh yeah, it's called sin.
Right.
Well, everybody's driven by selfishness, and I think that's the connection that you're drawing. I think that's a contributing factor, though, to the perception of disparity is how quickly these communication media are turning over. You know, MySpace was, when I was in high school, it was Instant Messenger, and then it was MySpace, then it was Facebook, and now it's Twitter, and nobody likes Facebook anymore, but some people like Facebook because they can stalk and start stalking Twitter, and blah, blah. Like, it's just changing so rapidly that it causes this perception of distance when there really isn't, just because you've got two cultural generations inside one generation.
Yeah, that's good.
Just an example of that, the TV took how many years to sell 2 million TV sets, and then in 2 months we've got 2 million iPads sold already. A completely new technology. It's changing pretty fast.
And I would say, just to add to that, is we've moved from a tribal people, where by tribal I mean that it was all about our community. So we were all together for every reason, and we backed each other up in our own tribal group. But we moved from a tribal community to a very individualistic, nomadic. And so, and you said it best, man, my perspective's the best. My perception, my perspective, and my preferences are the best, and I'm going to fight for those things. And it doesn't matter which I'm going to do, because I think that. And then multiply just the vast, rapid turnover in technology and even in culture. And there's a new fashion. The fad subculture is changing just like every 3 months. So the subculture was, we're always trying to play catch up. We're always trying to play catch up. We're always trying to play catch up, which we have a bad definition of an invention. But that's a whole total other conversation. If you've got more questions, I know some of you do. I know some of you guys are going to have to leave, but come up here afterwards if you'd like just to continue just this organic conversation up here. Continue talking, continue bringing it up. We are going to close with a few songs of worship. The band's going to come out right now. It's summer. You know you ain't got nothing to do after this. You can go hang out someplace afterwards and just be hoodlums anyways. And so let's respond this way. Go ahead, close your eyes real quick. Close your eyes real quick. The band's going to make their way up. I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray real quick. And here's what I'm asking you to do this time. Because there are some practical takeaways here. There absolutely are. This just isn't a conversation about technology, just to have a conversation about technology. This isn't an attempt at a creative way to have a conversation, just an attempt to have a creative conversation. The point here is, remember, obedience is always individual. Obedience is always individual. What I want you to reflect and what I want you to respond to right now as your individual follower of Christ, who, yes, is part of this overall community known as the realm, known as the church. How are you going to use technology to further the story of Jesus? Or are you using technology to further the story of Jesus? Or is technology just about you? And just your online presence, getting more friends, getting more followers, and just creating this narcissistic center. And then further from that, I also want you to reflect on the time that you spend with technology. As a follower of Christ, are you doing what you need to be doing with technology at the appropriate times, in the appropriate ways using technology? Because the reality is, the more we get distracted, the further we get removed from the heart of Christ. And we need to use the gift of technology to further the gospel. So just as an individual, as your own disciple, reflect on that moment as we respond. Remember, above all else, guard your hearts. For it is the wellspring of life, because you are the best form of communication, the best form of technology, the best form of innovation when it comes to telling others about Jesus. Tonight, God, as we just reflect, just have this conversation, and as individual followers of you, as a community following you, and the uses of technology, Father, I pray this generation, who we've said over and over and over and over again will be the greatest generation to ever live. Father, I pray that you give this generation, I pray that you give them ideas, that you open their imaginations, that you open up their world to the exciting realities that technology brings us, the exciting innovations that technology brings us. But Father, I pray that we protect our hearts. Above all else, that we safeguard our hearts, that we take and we edify each other, and we build each other up, and we bring each other together, so that we do not fall victim to technology. But instead, Father, I pray that we take advantage of technology, that technology doesn't take advantage of us. That you teach us how to use technology, but that technology doesn't use us. And then we just don't be these consumers who just consistently and constantly consume. But instead, Father, I pray that you make us producers of technology, producers of culture, that we may further take your love story, further take your gospel to places that it hasn't been before, to further and more clearly articulate who you are. So, Father, we love you. In your precious name we pray.
Stains now.